Welcome to the Coach Cameron podcast. This is episode 476, and I have Dr. Lee Hancock with me. He's a performance psychology coach and a program creator that works with athletes, coaches, and educators, and now podcasters. How you doing, Lee? What's up, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. Are you still working at Dominquez Hills?
I'm a Dominquez, yeah.
Tenured professor?
I'm home right now. I seem to be. Yeah, I seem to be tenured professor. It was a long haul. It's there. It's enjoyable. It's home now. I'm I'm at home now doing the stuff for Dominquez. But great place to be. Great set of students. A lot like a lot of the schools and really places I grew up in terms of the demographic and student population and having to work the whole time to go to school and stuff. So yeah, it's fantastic.
So how's your boys doing? You got 3 boys. Are they all playing soccer, or what are they doing?
I've got 3 boys. They're a handful, as you can imagine. So my oldest is 15. He's an 04. He plays with Pats. Decent player. Much better than I was for sure at that age. And then the twins are 07s, and they play locally. Looking to take into an academy this year. Really not sold on academy for youngers for the longest time, and really wanted to make sure that they enjoy their sport and had a chance to kind of grow and develop differently than the oldest. Those firstborns are always driven and have a different mindset, and these two, they're a bit bonkers. But fun to watch, and they love the game, and that's key for me.
Yeah, I have Dakota, my oldest. Mm-hmm. She's already played 2 years at Seattle U, and now she's
wow.
I know,
that's
it's
crazy.
They're old. And then Ryan, my second daughter, she's a senior and at Freya, which sucks for her because there's no graduation and stuff right now.
Right. Yeah. Where's she at? What school is she?
She's at Freya High School, and we don't know where she's going now with all this stuff going down. Mm-hmm. So
does she play?
No, she's our smart one. She performs. She's in plays and sings and piano, guitar. She's the intelligent one. She's gonna live a wonderful life versus trying to be an athlete. Athlete's kind of goofy.
Now, Dave, do people know your story and my story and how we're intertwined, or what?
I don't think so.
Why don't you throw that out there from your perspective?
So what year were you at Phoenix College, by the way?
Oh my God!
Is that 94 or 95?
It was 94 because I went back to junior college after the Univ and playing. And I got talked into coming up there and playing, and I was like, sure, that sounds fun.
My fondest memory of you, and I tell this story to my college kids all the time. So my fondest memory of you is we're walking. I'm walking with you from the cafeteria to the biology building. Okay. And I'm just talking. You're not saying much. I'm like, "You all right, buddy?" He's like, and you're like, "I'm not feeling too well." Or like, "All right." And then we get to the right before the elevators, and you turn to look at me, gave me a little smile, and you just puked everywhere.
Oh my God!
And you had food poisoning or the flu or something. I'm like, oh man, you want to go home, and you're like, no, I got to get to class. And I don't know what happened after that. Did you throw up again in class, or?
First of all, I don't remember that story. I feel like you're making that up.
I am not. That's a fact. I wish we had cameras back then.
That sounds like something I would do. I don't know. I had a job to do. You got to go and get your job done.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I went to that class, I'm sure. God, I hated that class. That was anatomy and physiology. I swear to God, that's the hardest class I think I ever took with all my classes. You know what I mean? Oh my God. No, I don't remember that story, but I like that story. No, I enjoyed our time together there. It was a really good experience for me, and kind of reminded me why I love the game. And I was playing at the time in that USISL, with Wolfgang, and those guys. And so it was good. It was good to kind of get both perspectives and do that there. What a great school too, and I know it's huge now, right? I mean, program's great, and school's obviously very good as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's strange to think about. I mean, we won conference last year, and it's our third time of winning it, but to win it with no dorms, food cards, or out-of-state scholarships. And, it's weird to say that Yavapai hasn't beat us in like 5 years at home. And, those things are strange. Where back in the day, when we played Yavapai, they had future World Cup stars, on the team and stuff. So
do you remember that? Were you in the, well, yeah, I think I played one semester there. You remember the game we played up there? I think it was for it should have been for the conference. And I think we ended up losing 2-1. 3-1 or something like that. Do you remember that game or no?
Yeah. We lost 3-1, I believe, up there, and we needed to win it to win the conference, and we didn't. We ended up having to go back up there in the championship game where we lost 5-0, and I got a red card. I remember that. That was with. Remember Mark Passatore, the referee.
Yeah, great player. Oh
no, the referee.
Referee, yeah.
He's the one that could pull out he would do that magic trick with the cards, and he can just make it appear.
I don't remember that, no.
Well, he wouldn't do it in the games, but that was kind of things he would do. But Mark Pastore was like the main ref back then. He's now.
I remember.
He's he just moved right. He lives right by me now. He went to New York.
And where do you live right now?
Where
do you live?
I live in Avondale, but
okay.
Avondale, Goodyear, Litchfield Park, it's like I'm like right in the middle of all that.
Mm-hmm.
So he lives in Goodyear, but we're like 3 miles apart, and he referees my high school games. I coach at Millennium High School, and it's weird to go see him still refereeing. Mm-hmm. He refereed me when I was a kid, when I was like 12.
Yeah,
and through college.
I remember hearing his name now.
Yeah, he was on the Major League Soccer circuit, and
okay.
He's done everything, and now he's just, you can tell his age is catching him. His movement's different, but he looks the same.
Funny.
But what are your fondest memories at Phoenix College?
I honestly the guys. The guys. I mean, Stryker. I mean, are you kidding me? That guy was tremendous. Stryker. I remember Augie. Yeah. Who was the central midfielder? He was from out that way. I think he went to Cactus.
There was Spanky.
Yeah.
Mark McCoby.
No.
I know you're thinking of Williams, Bobby Williams.
Well, I don't know. What a player. I mean, just a great central midfielder, really smooth on the ball and fun to watch and fun to be around. Yeah, honestly, the guys. I remember the guys. I mean, for me, those classes were throwaway classes. I mean, I had to get a couple done anyway. But for me, it was just an enjoyable experience to take that 6 months and play with those guys and be around there. And look, I had no money, dude. Like, I try to explain this to my boys. I mean, I don't know if you remember the car that I drove.
No one had money on that team, but
no. I lived with Augie in a studio.
Yeah, I was aware
because I didn't have any place to stay, and basically was living out of this car. And the car that I had was like this old Cutlass 2-door with like no rims, no wheels, and like I had to have magnets to hold up the felt inside the car. Tremendous. But that was great, good experience for me, and I ended up staying up there, and finish it up at ASU, and then it all went from there,
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what you do. I was at the LA convention. I sat on, went to one of your classes that you're holding, and you're talking about grit. So, out of curiosity, what's your stance on grit today?
Well, I mean, it's important, so I think about my experiences, and I think about my experiences with my sons, obviously with your kids as well, and you as a player and you as a coach and kind of everything that you've gone through. To me, it's critical. It's a critical skill to have and to get. It's like it's not innate. You can develop grit. And I think these failures are key components of it, right? And these obstacles are key components. So it's like, how bad do you want to be good? It's a big discussion in our house with anything, with the game, with a class, with whatever endeavor you're doing. And so it's huge, and as I think about my experiences, in those times at Phoenix College, and then kind of transferring over to ASU and having no money and trying to figure it all out. And do I really want to coach? Do I want to play? What do you want to do? And all those experiences provide an opportunity to grind, and those are deciding points, right? And you have a number of those deciding points on your journey, and you hit those forks, and you go, do I want to do this? And every time you push through something and you take the turn that says I want to do this, that's another notch, in your grit belt, and it's like that's just the way it goes. And then when push comes to shove in a big match or performance, you can call on those, so it's key, massive.
So let me talk to you, father to father here. So, I'm going through a struggle like we do every day. Just they're different. So my son Jack, he's an 06, and he's wide as can be, and he's redhead, and he plays on Tuzos, all Pachuca. It's all Hispanic team. The coach is coaching Spanish. Jack plays. I
played on those teams.
They're the best. They're the best.
They are the best.
I'm a parent, and it's hilarious because the coach wants me to help out, and I'll help out, but I refuse to be on the sideline with him. I'm like, listen, I can do you a much better service. Just let me be on the sideline with the parents and let me deal with the parents. I'll make your job easier. And all I do is fight with parents nonstop, telling them to shut up and all that. It's a full-time job, but they ask my opinion all the time now. They're like, are we playing better soccer now? I'm like, yeah, just let it be that way. And when they're playing poorly, let it be that way. Just let it be what it is. But anyways, these Hispanic kids, they're amazing. I'm like, sometimes they're just ridiculous and sometimes they're average, but when they're left alone, they play beautiful soccer. But a lot of those kids have grit and they fight and everything. Now my son, Jack, he's the doctors say it's because he's a redhead or whatever. They feel different pains or whatever. So I want to take him running, and I'm running 3.1 miles every day right now through the mountains, and I'm loving it. Just learning to love to run because I hated to run. I love to sprint, but not do long distance. So I'm wanting to take him to the mountains. I got him shoes and all this stuff. And my wife's like, no, that's he doesn't want to go. I'm like, I don't care. He needs to experience this pain to further his development, because a lot of things I've learned was I had to go through it first. You got the wife that wants to protect him, and I'm wanting to put him through hell. So what are your thoughts on experiences like that, or fighting with your wife? I don't know. What do you do as a father to help develop your children to experience pains of life, like working hard, work ethic and all that stuff? What are you doing with your boys?
Yes. I mean, the older one will just do it, right? Again, firstborn mentality, right? So he'll just do it. The younger ones love the game. Okay. But they don't exactly always want to then go put the work in, right? They'll do it, right? But they're more social. With them, the balance has been again, they're 12. I have wanted to ensure that they love the game, right? That's been my biggest thing. Do they love the game? Can I provide them opportunities to love the game? Still be disciplined and still work hard, and still we praise that in our house, and it's a big thing. But I've tried not to overly push it, right? Enjoyment, that type of stuff. Intrinsic motivation, huge thing with me, and then only and complain about this or that, right? So it sounds like if you don't like this, it sounds like you want to get better. It sounds like you want to improve. You're not happy with the failure. You're not happy with whatever it is. Not starting or not scoring X amount of goals or a touch getting away from you, whatever their metric is, right? And then that's where I will take the time now, again, in the last probably 6 months to a year to go, you've got to put the time in, right? So now I started to push it a little bit more with them, right? So again, 12 years old, entering just a bit of a new phase of cognitive development at 12-ish, 13-ish. And so now I will start saying to them, that's not, you tell me, is that going to help you? Is that a good work piece right there? Have you looked at your goals? Have you put the time in? And they're doing that, right? They're a bit more extrinsically motivated, and I'm okay with that. Nothing wrong with that. But again, when failures happen, I go, you're not happy with it? Did you work hard enough? And I'll call them on it, And for me, it's never about performances in games or anything like this. And even in some of the trainings that they do, it's always about, did you put forth your effort? And if they didn't, I'll call them on it. So relative to Jack, yours, he's an 06, right? So he's got the boys by a year. And so again, if he wants to improve, right, he's going to put that work in. He's going to have to put that work in time, and you're going to have to find the balance of pushing it and leaving it alone, right? And so the way we try and do that, especially in our house with those guys, is there's a bit of a reward system. If you want to have this, you've got to put your work in, right? And so we've kind of gone in that route. That doesn't always work, and I don't always enforce it. But then when they don't do well, or they don't start, or they don't make a particular team, or whatever the case may be, then it's like you see that you didn't put the work in, right? So it's that balance. I don't know if that made sense.
No, it does, and there's no perfect solution. I get it's a guided process. And there's one time. It's funny you say your firstborn. My firstborn, Dakota. I didn't have to ask her to do anything. She just did it. And
that's a firstborn trait.
It's crazy.
Firstborn trait.
Just easiest kid. Just does everything on her. She just gets stuff done. Jack, the one thing I did with him, like he loved soccer, but he also loved his YouTube or whatever he was doing at the time.
Sure, of course.
And there's one practice that he was like, I don't want to go to practice. I'm like, okay, and I left. My wife calls me. Jack is really upset and he's crying. He's like, I think 8. And he's waiting. He has his soccer backpack. He's at the front door. I'm like, that's too bad. He can go next time. And he was so devastated.
Yeah.
Then for like 3 months after that, he was in the car before practice because he didn't want to be left.
Then that's it, right? You got to call their bluff sometimes, right? And I think that's a perfectly rational thing to do, But I also think back to those like a Jack and like my sons Gavin and Owen. Those two, to do something, they're dialed in, right? Again, second and third borns, right? And as you start looking at those kids that are nonconformists, right? Those tend to be really creative, passionate individuals once they find their calling, right? And what they're doing is they're sampling, right? They're sampling what it is they want to do and sampling how they can get away with stuff with dad, right? They're pushing the envelope with dad, right? And as soon as you call them on that nonsense, then it's like, oh, okay, I better acquiesce to this piece, right? There's a great book called Originals by Adam Grant. He's an organizational psychologist. Genius. And the book is fantastic. It's Originals, How Nonconformists Change the World or something like that. And it talks a lot about those kids that are nonconformists. And they tend to be second and third borns, and they tend to be more creative, more entrepreneurial because they think outside the box, you know? And I found that to be fascinating, and I found it to manage my, maybe irritation, because I'm an only child. I'm a firstborn, right? My irritation at perhaps of twins not doing things in a certain way. And again, I acquiesce a little bit. Doesn't make me less frustrated sometimes, but at least I catch my own emotions when I'm trying to dominate their choices,
Yeah, that's funny you say that. I'm like, so my daughter, Ryan, the second born, our creative one, and she doesn't conform to anything. I'm like,
yeah,
she's libertarian, self-chose, because she likes fighting with Republicans and Democrats, and she doesn't like being controlled. And I'll give an example of her. So she's watching this show that me and my wife didn't approve of, and it was a vampire show or whatever. It just was too much. And we're saying we can't watch the show. She said, why? And then, we just don't think it's appropriate. So she wrote us 7 pages, front and back, mind you, of why she should be able to, and and called us out for everything we did and all this stuff, and it was and I read it. I'm like, man, she unbelievable writer. She's also the opinion writer for the All Free Hoot newspaper.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's
cool.
She,
so we're like, me and my wife are just laughing. We're like, well, I'm not taking this on. So we said, you know what, you decide. Then she debated with herself for 3 days about if she should watch it or not. So she made the decision to not to watch it. I think eventually she went to watch it, but it was just funny to see how her mind works, and she just constantly in struggle. I'm like, you need to be a lawyer. But she's and I'm the second born, and I fight with people just to challenge them, to at least get everyone to see a different perspective. Even though I might agree with them, I challenge them on it, and that's kind of how I think. But it's interesting to see that. Now my fourth, Jet, who's 8, that kid's all over the place, man. He just, you go through our house, and there's little war scenes all over. All he does is build. You ever watch on HBO, Fraggle Rock?
Oh, the old school.
Yeah,
of course.
He's a doozer.
Oh, that's funny.
And we're the Fraggles cleaning it up. It's funny. Everywhere. So, it's really mind-boggling as a parent of 4, and each one of them are completely different. And you can see a little bit of who they are from us, the parents, but they're definitely they're different.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? Let me ask you a question. So I'm with dealing with kids. I'm dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds right now at Phoenix College, and we're now in this whole can't meet with them. And with my kids, I engaging them one-on-one, face-to-face is so much better. Now I can't even do that. And so now it's a lot of phone calls. They're doing all this stuff. And they're struggling because the population I serve, they're really being affected because they're not getting financial assistance from the government. A lot of them because their parents aren't documented, but they are, they lost work because now they can't go into homes and stuff and do it. So they're struggling pretty hard, and I'm trying to help them with that. What would you suggest as far as dealing with their emotional state at this time? And I already threw them some things just to give you a background of it. So I do whatever I can to get them to focus on their brain, to get them to really be disciplined. Discipline's everything I do over there. I don't even coach soccer. I focus on discipline and focus on their life, and then soccer will happen. But so I have them all doing Wim Hof method right now. You familiar?
No.
So Wim Hof is the Iceman. So they take cold showers. The goal is take cold showers every day to develop, that whole natural high you can produce from a cold shower. And then they do the deep breathing. provided by Wim Hof. It's just something I found that was simple, free, that you can have that app that they can actually go through a process of it. What would you suggest that can really help them deal with the stresses and the depression and anxiety and all the stuff that they're probably going through right now? So what would you suggest?
I mean, that's a clinical diagnosis. But in terms of daily anxiety and kind of managing the ups and downs, I think for me, it's a lot about awareness, right? So are you even aware of what you're saying to yourself and what you're thinking? You know, that's a big thing with people, right? With athletes, I have found they frequently aren't aware that they're even saying to themselves nasty things or thinking negative thoughts during the day, during a performance, right? So what I ask them to do is in order to try and be aware, is document some of that stuff, right? For the good and for the bad. Write it down. I know it sounds so simple, but if I ask them to find and make it touchable, tangible, what were 5 times that you found yourself saying things to yourself that were counterproductive, right? And when was that, and what were you saying, right? And then how do you change it, right? So the other column, as you write it on a piece of paper, what should you say differently, right? Similarly, what were 5 times where you found yourself being positive with yourself or with somebody else? How then can you maintain that or manage that more? Because the truth of the matter is that if you can engage those thoughts and not bury them, because that's an important piece, right? Engage those feelings and thoughts and be aware of them, and then try and move them along, then that makes a significant difference in the moment-to-moment and then daily outlook. And then if you pound those or pack those on day after day, all of a sudden, instead of in 7 days you had 10 negative thoughts a day for 70 negative thoughts, all of a sudden it's 7 days you caught those, and now it's half of those you turned into positives. All of a sudden you're at 35 and 35, and that's a difference.
Yeah,
and that makes
difference.
Significant. It is a huge difference
over time. And it's huge.
That's right, and it makes a significant difference then on your body and how you process the day. And it's all about the perspective that you take on the things that are going on with you, right? Because let's face it, they have zero say in what's going to happen with their parents, right? Or what's going to happen when they get their money from the stimulus package, right? But they do have every opportunity to manage the thoughts as they align with those going on, So I have found that awareness and writing those things down is a pretty important piece.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, and I get you. Your focus is on, what you do is really trying to deal with performance and dealing with high-level athletes, and I'm dealing with, I deal with athletes, but I'm dealing with a segment of the population that's, has a very difficult time because all my kids are
Yeah, but dude, it's the same, Dave. It's the same, right? So I currently work with Olympians, right? I'm dealing with their event that's going to be postponed, right?
Yeah.
And it sucks. I'm also dealing with 12-year-old kids who have had their soccer taken away, right? And whose school is online, right? And who can't sit still and who can't see their friends, very social. And while they are totally different, they are very much the same in terms of how I work with them. Because while the goal, of course, is performance, it has nothing to do with performance. It has everything to do with the health of the individual as they improve their daily endeavors. For the Olympians, it's their performance, but it's also how they engage with their spouse, how they engage with themselves, how they engage with their friends. And same in the house with the boys, And so for me, the goal is the same in terms of being aware of and managing those moment-to-moment thoughts and feelings. And then for you, as you jump on the phone with them, is providing them some advice and ideas on then how to deal with that stuff that they're throwing out there.
Yeah, and it's a daily daily thing. I mean, and that's why I hate the fact that I can't be with my college kids. I'm freaking out because my kids do really well when I'm there. Like I developed this new coaching have you ever seen the movie Forever Strong?
No.
Watch it.
Okay.
It's the winningest. It's a true story about the winningest coach in America. He's a rugby coach from Utah, and the head coach, all he did was focus on the individual and try to develop men, and the assistant coaches pretty much ran practice. And that's kind of what I did this year. I mean, I had individual meetings with my guys. While my assistants dealt with practice, I would pull them one-on-one out to see how they're doing and really try to get to know them and try to find out how I can help them. And the fact they could actually just talk to me, you'd be shocked how many would break down and cry. I mean, it was just it was eye-opening, and I was engaging my student athletes in a different way I've never done before. And it felt amazing. At the same time, I felt their pain and all those things. And it was a cool year. It was the first year I've done it, and I'm going to do it every year. But I want that one-on-one connection versus online. A lot of my kids, I mean, they use they would have phones, but they don't have, a cell phone. They have cell phone, but no cellular connection. They use Wi-Fi everywhere. Well, Wi-Fi's gone. So I'm like scrambling here, trying to get hold of them, freaking out. But, it's a struggle, but it's kind of like what you said. It's about giving them opportunities to start thinking differently. And, whether you're writing it down or get them to do the Wim Hof method. By the way, your friend Tom Byer, we just had him in at Phoenix College, and he does
he told me.
He does the Wim Hof method every day. Okay. It was kind of cool. You got to look into Wim Hof too.
I will.
He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's how I stumbled upon him. But it's we need it. Like I use it. The fact that I could actually spend 20 minutes of basically doing deep breathing, holding my breath, get me away from my cell phone, the computer, and all the other things and distractions, really get you to kind of think about your life and what you can improve. So any form that can get you really away from the world and really focus internally I'm assuming can help. But I have so many questions for you, but the one thing I would like to talk about really is last time we spoke, when I saw you at the LA convention, I know you worked with national teams of many different sports. Tell us a little bit about where you worked with Olympic teams, what kind of different sports have you worked with, and what's your relationship with the sports industry in the United States and outside. You worked with an athlete in Canada, volleyball. She's featured on your website, Sarah Pavin. Is it Pavin?
Yeah, Sarah Pavin.
Yeah. So how'd you get doing that, and what's your involvement with the Olympics, and were you planning on going to the Olympics this coming up summer? Now it's canceled. I mean, what's happened with your career?
So, I mean, I've done a lot of different professional athletes, NHL, NFL, MLS, obviously, and then was on pro staffs in different sports. And then for beach volleyball, which is the Olympic set that I've been working with, it's probably been about 4 years. I went to Rio with a group, and now I've been with this group for a while, and they're good, and they're really fun to work with. And I got connected with that because the coach kind of knew who I was and involved me, and then because they're a heavily funded group, because they're very successful, then they were able to kind of retain my services, and so I'm with them frequently. I travel with them to Europe when they have their matches. I don't do it all the time. And then I was in Japan last year for a pre-Olympic event, and obviously then was going to go this year. And so I've been with them for a while. I do a lot of stuff with the team and kind of building the team and building the culture of the team. That's a major thing with us. and then how to communicate effectively within that structure, the coach as well. And then we identify, things that are going well and then issues, and then we work on those as a group. Then obviously individually I work with them as well, in terms of building a skill set and helping them manage theirs. Sarah's, I would say, probably one of the most unique athletes and probably one of the best athletes I think I've ever had the opportunity to work with. Just in terms of her mentality, it's just different. She was 4-time All-American in college, and she was one of the best players in the world this year in terms of her blocking. And then our other one, Mel, is currently, I think, the best setter in the world and the best defender. So we're current world champions. And so I've learned a lot from them, and I've been able to provide my 2 cents and really be a part of the staff, which is how I function best, right? Because I'm a coach, I have coaching background. And while it's not volleyball, when you have a sense of how teams and team dynamics work, then you can lend your 2 cents in a team that's willing to allow you that opportunity, and I've been blessed to be around great teachers and great coaches and great sports psych guys that have given me that look and understanding as well, right? About how to be in an ebb and flow of a team environment day in and day out. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been great, really enjoy it and have been really just fortunate to be around those two and the staff.
That is very, very cool, man. It's just, It's cool to see someone that, that played with me at Phoenix College at a 2-year institution doing well as you're doing. It's cool to watch. It's cool to watch people succeed the way they're succeeding and the experiences and opportunities you're getting. Are you working with Greg Vanny still?
No, I talk to Greg periodically, and
it's pretty fun.
We chat. I was actually around his kids and Amy about a month ago. The twins were out at a U.S. Club Soccer National ID event, and so Mason and Dylan and Christian were out there, and so we were able to hang out with them a little bit. It's great to see them. But no, at some point I'll work with them again, and would love to kind of get back into that arena. But I'm not gonna move. That's my big thing at this particular point. When the boys are done and they've gone through their time here in LA in 6-7 years, then it's a different discussion.
Right.
But in the meantime, I work with, kind of help a little bit with the Pats Academy and do different projects for different clubs that ask me to help, and I'm happy to. It keeps me in the game and provides me an opportunity to be involved, because I haven't coached for about 3 or 4 years and I miss it. I desperately miss it. But no, it's funny you say that about the Phoenix College piece, and then I think about how lucky I am to be afforded these opportunities and to make an impact, to hopefully make an impact on kids that I work with or athletes that I work with, given my background and perspective, right? And that grit thing will come for full circle in this discussion, because to me, it's like I've gone through a lot, and thank goodness, right? Because it's provided me that opportunity to figure out how bad I wanted to be good, and it provides me an opportunity to problem solve, right? Because it wasn't always easy for me in school or in the game or anything else, and I had to work for it. And so I would like to think that comes through in my teaching. I think it comes through in my coaching. I feel like it comes through in my parenting. And then my sports psych, because it's like I'm always trying to problem solve and incorporate different people and different ideas in that problem solving process. And so it's funny you say that, because I always think how lucky I am to have had the opportunity to struggle in order to then try to then use that in my daily goings on.
Have you ever thought about doing a podcast, your own?
Yeah. I've been approached a number of times, and I have a couple of books out there, and I have another one that I just signed with a publisher on, which I'm actually really excited about, on talent and kids, and how it develops and how it's currently looked at, in my opinion, wrongly. And so, I've been asked to do that stuff. Same thing with social media. That hurts my soul. I don't know. I can't can't. If somebody set it all up for me, I would probably engage in it, but because I enjoy these conversations. But it's just going and doing all those things. I find myself to be too busy, or maybe not disciplined enough to go on social media 3 or 4 times a day or do a podcast or whatever and push it. But now it's enjoyable, and then I think I'd be decent at it, but I don't know, maybe I'd be garbage. But yeah, no, I've thought about it.
Yeah, well, after I'll tell you my experience, but this is episode 476 for me.
Yeah, it's really nice of you to put me on this one. I mean, 476 is a big one. I must have been really highly considered.
Well, I wanted to get through the least 400 before I start bringing on some powerful people like yourself. If I bring on episode 1, you'd be in big trouble. The sound quality.
Sure
no, I typically it's just me, and they're really 5-6 minute episodes. It's just kind of my thoughts every day, and you'd be shocked, like the analytics on it. Like I have literally 700 to 1,200 downloads a day, which shocks the living daylights out of me all over the world.
Yeah,
and it's the main thing with anything to do with podcasting. If you're unscripted and you just tell the truth according to you that day. Your following grow. Most of my following is parents, and it's so cool to get an email from I get emails from all over the country, just like having similar experience, because I just rip on club soccer nonstop, because it is goofy, and in Arizona it's really goofy, so they give me plenty of material.
You don't have to tell me, dude. Try LA. I mean, the amount of shenanigans here, and the amount of morons that pass themselves off as qualified people working with children is just shocking.
And there's
shocking.
There's new suckers every year, because there's new families every year that they're coming through, and they get sold on some pitch, and I'm here to tell them that be careful. But
there are some good ones out there.
There is,
and that's the thing too. There are some really good people working with kids, and pushing them. My kids, they want to compete. And there is a right way to do it. And to do that with kids it's an art and a science. But anyway. So.
Yeah. I always say, don't pick a club, pick a coach.
100%.
Just don't say you belong to this club. You belong to find the right coach. I mean, I remember there was this teacher called, his name was Mr. Schooley. I kid you not, that was his name. But he was legit. Elementary, third grade teacher. We had all our kids go to his class somehow, because he was so good at it. I don't know if because he was with that weird name of Schooley. He was really good at what he did, and we really appreciated him. But it's hard to find good teachers and good coaches out there.
Yeah, and when you find them, value them. I mean, I'm just very fortunate in my oldest is in that situation now in his soccer career, and we're fortunate. And same thing in school. We've got a great school system here, and I consider myself fortunate. And so.
Well, Dr. Lee Hancock, I'd love to have you on again down the road, but I'm going to end this podcast because I've taken a lot of your time. 43 minutes. That's a long.
Listen, dude,
podcast.
I got nothing to do. You understand me? I'm reading. I'm writing. After this, I'm going to go upstairs and deal with the inmates because I hear them getting restless.
Yeah.
They're interesting times right now. So now I'm happy to be on, and I'm glad you're doing well. And every time I hear your name, and Tom was raving about you, he rolled through town just before he went home, and every time I hear your name, I'm like, man, this guy, he's killing it.
I work hard. I certainly work hard. Well, thanks for being on. Stay around after. I want to talk to you a little bit, but this was episode 476 with Dr. Lee Hancock, a performance psychology coach. How do we learn more about you? drleehancock.com, right?
That's on there. You can hit me on Twitter. I don't really post very much. I find myself posting more on what's going on and people praising nurses and this kind of stuff. I don't post that much. But if you want to have a question, you can hit me up.
All right. Sounds good. Cool. Thank you so much for being on, and we'll talk to you soon. This is Coach Cameron with Dr. Lee Hancock signing out.
Bye-bye.